Another top Trump cabinet official has resigned, or I should say, has been forced out. Donald Trump's director of national intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, has resigned, and we are learning she was forced out by the Trump regime, or else she was going to get fired. Now, she just submitted a resignation letter where she blamed her resignation on the fact that her husband has cancer. I will read for you that resignation letter, but all sources are saying that she was about to be fired. She, of course, was someone who previously spoke out against endless wars. She promised the country that if they elected Donald Trump, that he would not get involved in any more wars in the Middle East or elsewhere. Her deputy, her number two, Joe Kent, resigned a month and a half ago or so because of Donald Trump's catastrophic and unlawful war in Iran. Then Tulsi Gabbard testified before Congress where she made it clear that she was simply reflecting what the regime's views were about the war, which were different than her personal views. And then lots of members were questioning her, senators and Congress members, saying, so you're not going to share your personal view? Are your personal views in contradiction to the regime's views? That's very odd. What do you think about your number two, your deputy, Joe Kent, saying all of these things about how this war is unlawful and catastrophic? And she goes, I'd rather not answer that question. I'd rather not answer that question. And so there was lots of speculation she was going to be fired or resign. Bye-bye, Tulsi Gabbard. And she's saying, though, the reason I'm doing this is because of my husband, because he has cancer. Here's the letter that she just submitted, and here's the post by Donald Trump posting her resignation letter. Donald Trump writes, unfortunately, after having done a great job, Tulsi Gabbard will be leaving the regime, he says, administration on June 30th. Her wonderful husband, Abraham, has been recently diagnosed with a rare form of bone cancer, and she rightfully wants to be with him, bringing him back to good health as they currently fight a tough battle together. Let me be very clear. My heart does go out to anybody suffering from any type of cancer or any type of sickness at all. And it's a very serious matter. And we, of course, wish everybody health and happiness in life. Let's be very clear. But also, it does seem that that's being used as a pretext for the fact that she was fired or forced to resign. Here's the letter that she submitted so you can see for yourself. May 22nd, 2026. Dear Mr. President, I am deeply grateful for the trust you placed in me and for the opportunity to lead the office of the Director of National Intelligence for the last year and a half. Unfortunately, I must submit my resignation effective June 30th, 2026. My husband, Abraham, has recently been diagnosed with an extremely rare form of bone cancer. He faces major challenges in the coming weeks and months. At this time, I must step away from the public service to be by his side and fully support him through his battle. Although Reuters is reporting White House forced top spy Gabbard to resign, Fox ran with the exclusive regime propaganda, saying that her resignation was for other purposes. As noted earlier in this video, Joe Kent, her director of National Counterterrorism Center, resigned and said the reason he was resigning is that I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to the pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. You had Donald Trump's chief propagandist, Caroline Leavitt, asked back in March, is Tulsi Gabbard's job in jeopardy given the Joe Kent situation? Recall, this is what Trump's chief propagandist, Caroline Leavitt, said. Let's play this clip.
Tulsi Gabbard's job in jeopardy right now, given the Joe Kent stuff?
Not to my knowledge. I haven't heard the president say that, nor have I heard him say that. So obviously that's a question for him, but I haven't heard him to say that at all.
And can you give us an update?
Now, here was Tulsi Gabbard testifying at an Iran war hearing about the views she's expressing do not reflect her views. Okay, here, play this clip.
This briefing is being provided in accordance with ODNI's statutory responsibility. What I'm briefing here today does not represent my personal views or opinions, but rather the assessments of the intelligence community of the threats that facing the United States, our homeland, and our interests.
And here were her views back in 2024 when she was campaigning with Donald Trump. Let's play this clip.
President Trump has pledged to end wars not start them.
This was her answer to questions by Democratic Congressmember Gomez during her hearing back in March. Let's play it.
Were they weeks away of achieving a nuclear weapon? Yes or no?
Congressman, this is a serious matter, and you've made some very serious mischaracterizations
yes
here.
Yes or no? Were they weeks away?
And so it would be
yes
a disservice to you and the American people to answer this question with a mere yes or no.
Reclaiming my time. Were they weeks away or not? The American people need to know if this was an imminent threat or not. If they're weeks away or not. If they're months away or not. None of this dodging. Were they an imminent threat?
Here's how she responded to Democratic Congressmember Castro. Play this clip.
Death and destruction continues. The economic cost to the United States, to Israel, to the Gulf states, and to the world continues to increase. So I want to ask you, to the best of your knowledge, do you know whether Israel is supportive of the president's call to make a deal with Iran?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know Israel's position on that.
And to what do you attribute Israel's decision to strike Iranian energy infrastructure, despite President Trump's call to keep those facilities off limits?
I don't have an answer for that.
So they ignored the president. Do you agree with that?
I'm not privy to any of their deliberations or what went into their calculus in launching this or other attacks.
Even Republican Congresswoman Stefanik was asking, kind of a odd way for you to start your opening statement by saying, these views don't reflect your views? I mean, aren't you here? What do you, you're separating the views of you from the views that you're saying? It's odd. Here, play this clip.
Director Gabbard, when you began your testimony, you stated that your remarks do not represent your personal beliefs. That's the first time I've heard that at a committee hearing. Why did you say that? Or is there anything in the threat assessment that you personally disagree with?
Thank you for the question, Congresswoman. The reason I've said that is twofold. Number one is when I assumed this role as Director of National Intelligence through the confirmation process and beyond, many members of Congress rightly said your personal views and your politics in this role get checked at the door.
And then more from Stefanik over here, asking Tulsi Gabbard whether she found Joe Kent's resignation to be concerning. Play this clip.
Assessments.
Thank you. I also wanted to ask this because this week there was a high-profile resignation of Director of National Counterterrorism Center. Now, I want to be clear from the outset. I've communicated directly with President Trump my support for Operation Epic Fury, and I was very not only disappointed, but how inappropriate this letter was. And I want to read a statement that and get your personal assessment, whether you agree or disagree with that. And that's this. Early in this administration, high-ranking Israeli officials and influential members of the American media deployed a misinformation campaign that wholly undermined your America First platform and pro-war sentiments to encourage a war with Iran. This echo chamber was used to deceive you into believing that Iran posed no imminent threat to the United States and that you should strike now. There was a clear path to a swift victory. This was a lie and is the same tactic the Israelis used to draw us into a disastrous Iraq war. Now, I cannot say how much I disagree with that statement. Do you agree or disagree with what this letter was put out by former Director Kent?
He said a lot of things in that letter. Ultimately, we have provided the president with the intelligence assessments, and the president is elected by the American people and makes his own decisions based on the information that's available to him.
But do you agree with, does that statement he made, blaming Israel, concern you?
Yes.
My next question is...
Let's also not forget that Tulsi Gabbard back in 2025, in my opinion, lied to Congress when she said that she was not on any of those signal communications involving Trump's top defense officials and intelligence officials where they talked about war plans on a signal chat. And then it turned out she was on the signal chat. Play this clip.
Member, my answer yesterday was based on my recollection or the lack thereof on the details that were posted there. I was not, and what was shared today reflects the fact that I was not directly involved with that part of the Signal chat and replied at the end reflecting the effects, the very brief effects that the National Security Advisor had shared.
So it's your testimony that less than 2 weeks ago, you were on a Signal chat that had all of this information about F-18s and MQ-9 Reapers and targets on strike, and you in that 2-week period simply forgot that that was there. That's your testimony?
My testimony is I did not recall the exact details of what was included there.
That was not your testimony. Your testimony was that you were not aware of anything related to weapons packages, targets, and timing.
She was asked by Senator King about whether Russian intelligence was sharing their intelligence with Iran while Donald Trump was praising Putin. Let's play this clip right here.
Update us on the intelligence on Russian intelligence sharing with Iran in the current conflict. What do we know?
Senator, if there is that sharing going on, that would be an answer that would be appropriate for a closed session.
Well, it's been in the public press. This is open source that it's occurring. Is it occurring?
Again, if it is occurring, that would be an answer appropriate for a closed session. What I can tell you is that according to the Department of War, any support that Iran may be receiving is not inhibiting their operational effects.
Okay, that's sort of the first cousin of a yes, I guess.
And let's recall what Joe Kent, Donald Trump's number 2 at the director at the National Intelligence Office, had to say. The number 2 to Tulsi Gabbard. Play this clip.
This week, President Trump will be under immense pressure to commit ground troops to the war in Iran. This would be a catastrophic escalation that will only result in more bloodshed and further escalate this disastrous war. It is critical that we, the people, have our voices heard. Contact the White House comment line, contact the Congressional switchboard, ask for your representative, ask for your senators. Respectfully tell them that we do not support putting any boots on the ground in Iran. This is how we, the people, can have our voices heard. It's critical that we pray for peace, but it's also critical that we work towards peace. Respectfully contact your elected officials and let them know we, the people, do not support this war. Thank you. God bless.
And just so you can see how they were reporting it on regime media and the spin that they put on it, because I think it's important that we see how propaganda works. Here's what regime media was saying. Let's play it.
Thanks, Dr. Siegel. On to this breaking news now. Fox News has just learned Tulsi Gabbard is resigning from her post as Director of National Intelligence. All right, let's get right to David Spunt. He's got the news for us. David?
Well, Sandra, we are told that Tulsi Gabbard is resigning effective June 30th because of her husband's recent diagnosis of an aggressive form of bone cancer. Our thoughts, of course, are with Ms. Gabbard and her family, Director Gabbard, and her husband, Abraham. She said that Abraham has been her rock since they've been married, and she submitted her resignation letter to the president and 2 members of the senior staff, announcing that her last day would be June 30th because of this diagnosis of her husband's bone cancer. Unfortunately, this is something that Gabbard says that she cannot continue to manage doing 2 jobs at that time. So she will continue serving in the role of the Director of National Intelligence, overseeing the CIA, National Security Council, other agencies, but will leave June 30th because of this tragic news of her husband's bone cancer diagnosis. Sandra and John, as she helps him fight that over the coming months.
All right. There you have it, folks. Tulsi Gabbard forced out, another resignation at the Trump regime. It does seem that every other day now, a massive resignation or termination as the Trump regime is in complete turmoil. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million. Thanks for watching.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.